Marvel's Spider-Man today is officially 6 years old, and since then there's been a spin-off and a full-blown sequel to it. Yet despite this, I believe it still remains as the greatest Spider-Man game on the market. And today folks, you have the honour of watching me replay it, so sit back, relax and enjoy the video. The game begins with me waking up, hearing the police are on their way to take down Wilson Fisk. I thought I'd sit this one out and have a lie-in, but when I received a dreaded visit from the landlord harassing me to pay up the bills, all of a sudden I felt the motivation to help out with the infiltration of Fisk Tower. I arrived at the scene and my good cop friend Yuri briefs me on the details, and then I got stuck straight in there. Since I'm always saving people, for once I decided to sit back and soak up the lively atmosphere as I watched civilians run for their lives in desperation, as Fisk's men were letting bullets rain. Eventually I did snap out of this peaceful moment, finally deciding to do my job and take down many of the bad guys, even letting my no killing rule slip.
Gotta find that server room before there's no evidence left.
After fighting our way through the tower, we found the big man himself, and he wasn't too happy, as I let him know that Big Max would not be available in prison. So we battled it out, indulging in his yearly exercise session, before I inevitably took him down, leading to his arrest. I'm sure his ugly, quadruple chin looking ass will be safe in prison. Ain't nobody hoping for him to drop the soap. Now with that out of the way, it was time to head to work, meeting up with my boss, Dr. Octavius. This shift got off to a flying start as we almost blow up the lab, which doesn't go down well with the committee director. So I quickly fixed up the prosthetic arm, and then I was off on my merry way. I then met up with Yuri, who wanted me to help out with the classic fix the radio tower cliche. I'm already getting PTSD from every Ubisoft game ever. At least the radio towers let me see nearby crimes though, allowing me to give a helping hand to the weaklings of the city. However, I couldn't continue to fight crime with my suit in this state, as I was no longer looking like my usual glorious self. So I swung back to the lab to cook up a new suit. Oh yeah baby, that's more like it. Oh. I took to the streets to show off my new look, and of course the girls and the guys couldn't help but stare at all my huge assets. I even caught this guy, thinking he was slick, getting some footage for his wank bank. But when I confronted him, he started acting as if he wasn't feeling over my big booty. If you like what you see, then just say so, babe. To be honest, it was getting very tiring and difficult to continue playing with only one hand, so I reluctantly put my fantasies aside and switched to the advanced suit. I then headed to Feast Shelter to wish Aunt May a happy birthday, and it's all thanks to Mr. Lee. What a guy. He's such a great man managing this homeless shelter and always helping others. He most certainly could never hurt even a measly fly. Sadly, I had to cut the birthday celebration short as Yuri calls me up, informing me about an alarm being tripped at an auction house. So I went to check it out, finding these mysterious guys with these weird masks, searching for a file, and they've got a hostage, so I've got to be stealthy, working my way through the building as I picked them off one by one. Eventually I did get caught lacking, but to my surprise my ex-girlfriend MJ comes out of nowhere. Sadly she wasn't stalking me and obsessing with getting back together, but instead here on her own business, and she explains herself. She was here to check out Fisk's estate sale, and now equipped with some gear I made great use of my camera as I took pictures of the stuff on display. I guess she didn't appreciate my camera use, so she requests for me to leave, but I'm an absolute ninja, you know. So we sneak into her office, discovering a stolen statue, which is basically a key to the files those guys were looking for, about a project named Devil's Breath. Now I have to clear the auction house out so she can escape. So I fight these demons who come equipped with some sort of mythical power, and after clearing them out, I decided to take one of their masks as a cheeky souvenir. Me and MJ then had a quick catch up over some dinner, but unfortunately I failed to escalate the date, so I went off my way, heading back to Feast to ask Martin Lee about this weird mask, as apparently he has knowledge in this kind of stuff. But all he does is tell us to keep away as it's linked to very dangerous people. Well, if only you knew who I was, buddy. I can't back down from this, can I? Anyway, it's time for work again, and I arrive only for Dr. Octavius' old friend Norman Osborn to pull up and shut down our lab due to safety regulation breaches. But really, it's because Norman and Otto were former lovers and still hung up on their breakup. When I heard that I could no longer be paid, that was my immediate cue to leave, and I was back out in the city on the way to the bank, as Shocker has broken out of prison and was now stealing money. I remembered that the bills were high and I'm broke, so I contemplated on joining in on the robbery fun, but that would be bad PR, so I didn't go through with it. The battle was light work, to be honest, just another day in the life for myself, and of course you guys know I came out on top. It seems I can never get a break around here though, as Yuri calls upon me once again, this time to check out a shipyard of Fisk's, as apparently the demons have been targeting his properties. I took out the goons easily, you know, standard procedures, then I met up with this police officer Jeff. Together we searched the property, discovering Fisk's vault of weapons which had been ransacked by the demons. I chased them down but got caught up in a crash with an innocent bystander who is now at risk of being absolutely ploughed by a train. So it's my job to help out, of course, except I'm faced with a dilemma as I'm seconds away from featuring in an Instagram Reels video. Thankfully, Jeff saves my life as he crashes into the truck like a champ, no seatbelt and everything, somehow managing to survive. Man, it'd have been one hell of a night, and I'm no Batman, so I called it a day and headed home to get some sleep. However, my need for sleep was short-lived as the bills had finally caught up to me, and I'd been evicted, now having no place to rest. Big up Aunt May though, as I called her up as a last resort and she let me crash on the couch in her office. I woke up the next day to the rare sight of money on the table, gifted by Aunt May, and I snatched that up, no questions asked. Martin Lee then lets us know he's away on some business, and then I was also out of there as Jeff has his award ceremonies today for his brave heroics. But before that happened, he gave me a call asking me to head to Fisk construction site as the demons are moving in on the territory, and after dealing with some of them, I took a worker's phone and had an online call reunion with my quadruple-chinned bestie. He requests I keep his men alive, and in exchange he'll bait out the demon's leader, so for a good while I became a good submissive little doggy for Fisk, following his orders. After holding my end of the deal, he tells me to check the roof as the leader may or may not be there, and of course he isn't there. I chased the helicopter down and took its engines out, putting thousands of lives at risk as the helicopter plummeted, but it's no problem because I'm Spider-Man. I always save the day. Hundreds or thousands of people will never die on my watch. Yeah. The award ceremony didn't go down so well, as an assassination attempt on Norman Osborn cost Jeff his life, and I discovered Martin Lee of all people to be the demon's leader. We take control of Jeff's son, Miles Morales, as apparently sleeping on Aunt May's couch wasn't enough hours of rest. So I went off to find my father, hoping he was alive. I tried my hand at being a hero, but that didn't go so well. What an idiot, you can never be Spider-Man, you're black. Luckily, I was saved by Martin Lee's commands, as the demons had to leave, and so I rushed to check on Daddy. Yeah man, it's over. Just let it go. Jeff is dead. Days later at the funeral, I tried to tell Miles to suck it up and get over it, because at the end of the day, it was just another canon event. But he's quite stubborn, so I think he needs some time before he accepts the facts. Now knowing about Martin Lee's dark side, I was straight on the hunt for evidence to prove to Yuri that I wasn't crazy, and that he was actually the ringleader. With the help of MJ, we uncover multiple of Lee's properties, collecting evidence, finding a map of places he planned to attack, and much more. Of course, demon goons pull up and try to kill me, and after fending them off, I'm suddenly surrounded by this mysterious group of soldiers, and then I'm attacked by their leader, Silver Sable. It turns out that her security force, Sable, has been hired by Osborn and working with the police. So for now, we're allies. Regardless, I quickly dipped out of there before I caught a case for hitting a woman. Since none of the evidence so far led back to Martin Lee, I was off to break into his office whilst he was away. Inside, I read through his diary, discovering his hatred for Norman Osborn and his desire to make him suffer. But why? It's because he's ginger, isn't it? Why does everyone hate gingers? I then discovered his secret room, finding the same mysterious Devil's Breath file that was at the auction house. I now had what I needed, but of course this room is wide with a trap to destroy evidence. In the end, I managed to turn it off, and then I left, coincidentally bumping into the man himself. And we had a lovey-dovey discussion between the three of us, putting the fact that this guy is a cold-blooded terrorist at the back of my mind. With more than enough evidence to prove Lee was a villain, I reported my findings to Yuri and then made a quick stop at work. Looks like Dr. Octavius has managed to get the lab up and running, and he shows me his progress on the new and improved prosthetic arm. To be honest mate, I just don't care all that much though, do I? I've got much bigger problems to be dealing with, such as finding out what exactly this Devil's Breath thing is. Luckily, we have a lead on a Dr. Isaac Delaney, who's a scientist with connection to Devil's Breath. So we pull up to a Halloween party where people dress up as my villains, basically idolizing mass murderers. Eventually we spot him getting jiggy on the dance floor, but it looks like he was scouted and snatched up for his dancing talents by the demons. Apparently this dude has been working with someone on Devil's Breath and Martin Lee wants his name. So he brainwashes him into revealing the guy, Dr. Morgan Michaels. Then he made him off himself right before my eyes. I chased Lee down, but I was stopped by these possessed goons, allowing me to fulfill my long-awaited desire of beating up civilians civilians, which made up for the fact that Lee got away again. With this new name, Dr. Morgan Michaels, and new info from MJ about Norman and his association to Devil's Breath, I decided it was time to pay him a visit, breaking into his office and learning new things about Devil's Breath. Dr. Morgan Michaels is the chief scientist and keeps the only sample on himself at all times, and it also has the potential to cure any disease, but in its current form it's like a bioweapon that could trigger an epidemic. Hearing how deadly this thing was meant it was now a necessity that we find Dr. Michaels and Devil's Breath. And thanks to my good girl MJ, we find out that Michaels is being moved to a new safe house tomorrow. I had some time to kill before the big day, so I thought I'd pay Miles a visit, as we've now got him working at Feast. But once again, he's trying to be a hero and failing miserably. So I stepped in, and then I kindly gave him some brief self-defense lessons. But Miles took it way too far, almost taking my jaw off.
Okay, I can... Oh, sorry.
As punishment, I banished him to the Feast kitchen, sentencing him to eternal boredom as he watched Aunt May play pretend in the kitchen. I then went to chaperone Dr. Michaels and Sable, but the demons had already got to him, so I fought to get him back, but even though I did save him, they still managed to get off with Devil's Breath, heading straight to the Grand Central Terminal, where they plan to release the bioweapon if Norman doesn't show up. Luckily for us, MJ is a woman of many talents, capable of remaining composed and disarms the bomb. I then chased Lee down and we threw hands on the train. It was a hard fought battle, full of emotion, but we pulled through and took him down, leading to his well-deserved arrest, and then Sable secured Devil's Breath. Hooray! Another day, another victory for the OGs. We've saved the day once again. To wind down from what I'd been through, I stopped by the lab only to find Dr. Octavius had taken his creations to the next level, and with his neural implant having negative impacts on his mind, things aren't looking too good for the future as he vows to get his revenge on Norman Osborn. But for now, our journey comes to an end, and will be continued in a second video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting and subscribing, making sure you have the bell notification on for all my new uploads. To all who watched this video, plus my new and current subscribers, I thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.